Hello, everyone. I hope you had a wonderful New Year's. Thank you so much for joining me for Storytime with Moonie, where I read short stories every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for littles in every community. You can follow me on Instagram at Moonie the Space Kitty or Moonie the Space Kitty SFW. The only difference between the profiles are the tags that I use. Through the profiles, you'll have access to my items that I sell on my little shop. Now grab your stuffy and get real comfy. Tonight's story is Peter and the Wolf. Peter lived with his grandfather in a little cottage in the valley. Grandfather taught him to be kind to the animals, and Peter soon became friends with many woodland creatures. Grandfather also taught Peter about the dangers of living in the woods and how he must always be on alert for wolves, which is why Grandfather insisted that the cottage gate was kept closed. Early one morning, Peter woke up before Grandfather, and as the sun was starting to rise above the mountains, he set off to play. Peter was so eager that he forgot to close the gate. He ran into the big green meadow. Seeing the gate wide open, the duck waddled through the yard and followed Peter. Peter headed for his favorite tree, where his friend, a little bird, was perched. "Good morning, Peter," the bird chirped happily. Peter climbed onto the lower branch and started chatting. Everywhere was so quiet. There wasn't even a ripple on the pond in the meadow. Then suddenly they heard an excited quack. "Oh no, I forgot to close the gate," cried Peter. "Why did you follow me?" he asked the excited duck. "Grandfather is going to be so cross." "Quack, quack," replied the duck, heading straight for the pond. Now Duck and the little bird always found something to argue about. As Duck waddled along, the little bird joined him. "What kind of bird are you if you can't fly?" he chirped. "And what kind of bird are you if you can't swim?" replied the duck, before diving into the pond with a big splash. And as the duck swam and the bird hopped along the side of the pond, they continued to argue. Suddenly Peter noticed a cat ready to pounce on the bird. "Look out!" cried Peter, and in a flash the little bird was back in the tree again. The cat stared in surprise as the duck flapped her wings wildly. Then the cat turned his attention to the bird once more and began to circle the tree. He wondered if he could climb up quickly enough to catch the little creature before it flew away again. "It certainly isn't quiet any more," smiled Peter as he watched in amusement. But then an angry voice made him jump. "Peter, Peter, how could you leave the gate open?" cried Grandfather, running across the meadow. "What if a wolf had come?" "Boys like me are not afraid of wolves," replied Peter. But Grandfather did not want to hear this. He led Peter across the meadow and back to the cottage. As Peter waited behind the gate, he realized that Grandfather did know best, for at that moment a big gray wolf appeared. Seeing the little duck swimming in the pond, the wolf bared his teeth and licked his lips. The duck jumped out of the pond in fright and at the sight of the wolf, and in no time the wolf was chasing the little duck across the field. No matter how hard she ran, she couldn't escape from the wolf. Nearer and nearer came the wolf until snap, the duck disappeared. Quick as a flash, the cat climbed the tree. Soon the wolf began to circle, staring up with his greedy eyes. The cat stared back. He wasn't afraid, but the wolf was only interested in the little bird. He bared his teeth and snarled. Watching in horror, Peter wasted no time. He grabbed some rope and made a lasso. He knew he couldn't let the wolf see him, so he carefully crawled toward his friends. Then he climbed a little wall. Then he climbed the little wall beside the tree and called out, "Listen carefully, bird. Fly just above the wolf's head, but take care he doesn't catch you." The little bird did as he was told. As the wolf snapped, the bird swooped up and down, just out of reach. While the clever bird distracted the wolf, Peter leapt onto the tree. He tied the end of the rope to a branch and dropped the lasso over the wolf's tail. The more the wolf jumped, the more the rope tightened around his tail, and the more angry he became. Just then, some hunters appeared, following the trail of the wolf. "We've caught the wolf," cried Peter. "Help us take him to the zoo." The hunters were happy to help. At the head of the group was Peter, followed by the hunters leading the wolf. Grandfather trailed along at the back, still cross with Peter for disobeying him. If Peter hadn't caught the wolf, what then? Grumbled Grandfather. He was not happy that Peter took such a risk. But Peter and I were too clever for the wolf, the little bird told Grandfather. Now, if you listen very carefully, as the group passed by, you would just hear a faint quack. The wolf was in such a hurry when he ate the duck that he swallowed the bird whole, and the brave creature was still alive. The end. Oh. Thank you so much for letting me read to you tonight. I hope you feel safe, and I hope you feel loved. Good night, little one.